One. What's up and welcome back to Propels Talk, presented to you by Boot Crew Media and Company Burr. Also, new sponsor, Stephen Offner, Royal Honda. It's a great time to be at Royal Honda, where they have 80 pre-owned cars available for immediate delivery and 100 new cars like the 2022 Honda Pilot EXL, Honda's flagship SUV. Boot Crew Media is driven and powered by Royal Honda at 5600 Veterans Boulevard in Metairie, or visit royalhonda.com to find your new car today. Joined with Stephen Offner. Steve, haven't seen you in a while. I like your Ingram shirt. What's going on, bro?
Thank you. A friend gave it to me.
You know a guy that knows a guy.
I know a guy who knows a guy. Good, man. The stretch of the season is here that we were worried about. And it is it's not been that kind to us.
Listen, it hasn't been kind, but let's talk about the last 3 games, because when we went into this, and you can admit it, when we went in, if I say, "Hey, Steven, we're going to be 2-1 by the end of the road trip," you probably call me crazy.
Yeah, and it would be nice. It would be a nice thing to do. And
last night sucked, and we're going to talk about it. Yeah. But what this team did without Brandon Ingram, without Larry Nance, obviously not Zion, losing Herb Jones later, in the second half of that game last night. Yeah. Like, guys stepped up that needed to step up. Jonas Valanciunas played some really good basketball. Jose Alvarado, incredible, just amazing.
I want to give a little credit to Jose here. I said this a couple months back when he first came onto the scene and he was getting those meaningful minutes at the end of the game. And I said that was a problem. Right. Well, wrong. Eating plates of crow right now, because he made a play last night. It was right towards the end of the game. It was about when we got that little 2-for-1. No. Oh, he kept the little 2-for-1 at the end of the game. He was smart enough to go down there. We didn't need a 3. And his basketball IQ was high enough to know, hey, let's go get this. And I also think he was fouled on the play. Maybe I'm just being a homer on that. But it's when he made that quick little play and gave us the 2-for-1 and kept us in the game to give us another defensive stop. And albeit missing Herb in that situation, it's I want to give credit. I want to give credit where credit's due. I'm sorry, Jose. We have found a few. Maybe Cruz was right a couple weeks back when we were talking. Maybe we do have our point guards that we're looking for. Kyra comes back and Jose can run it too. Yeah, maybe we got something. Maybe
I've been shocked with Jose. And listen, I've said this before. Jose is a great story. I went on the last podcast, Alito and 5, and said I'd take Kyra over Jose. And today, I don't know. It's a different discussion. But listen, I was talking with somebody last night, one of our followers, and they were like, maybe Kyra and Jose can, both outside. They can both be something. So listen, I'm not dogging Jose. I think Jose is a great basketball player. Someone's like, well, you dogged Jose in your last pot. No, I didn't. I said I'd take Kyra over Jose. It was a question to me. I didn't dog him. Jose is a good basketball player. As you said last night, Stephen, high IQ player. We tweeted something out a couple nights ago where a basket goes in and he hides in the corner.
Yeah, it was amazing.
He hides in the corner where no one sees him, and then just like a bolt of lightning comes over, steals it. His nickname now is it's Grand Theft Alvarado or Robin Hood. I mean, this is out of control. But that's not a good point. He stepped up, and another guy steps up, CJ McCollum. I know he's coming off COVID, rough stretch there, but CJ, man, I want to dive into him, Stephen, because he does so much on the court. But off the court, what this franchise is always needed, and this is why everyone loves Antonio Daniels, is because they back the city and they back the franchise. And what CJ McCollum has done just in a month, it started NBA All-Star Saturday, and then it kind of snowballed to where, I wanted to be in New Orleans. I like this team. I like this franchise. And it's kind of changed the narrative a little bit. And now he goes on a podcast with Darius Miles, and it was the Knuckleheads podcast. Shout out 5, Conrad. Shout out Jarrett for sharing this. But Darius Miles says, why do you want to go to New Orleans? It was a combination of things: the culture, the city, the people, the love. You can feel it. I love the atmosphere, and if you are supposed to do what you have to do in a city like this, you will be loved forever. If you embrace them the way they embrace you, you become legendary.
Yeah.
Fan favorite. Write that in there. That's all Zion had to do. Just to win us back, just say something like that.
It's the narrative. Every single person who buys into this city and organizations in the city say the same thing. So it's not just delusional of people saying it over and over again. There's got to be some validity to it.
Right.
And it's just when you do things, I mean, and especially, I mean, go back to he who shall not be named in AD.
Like he never said that.
The way he exited. So it was like gone, you're gone. The way Chris Paul exited was different because we knew he wanted out and all this stuff. And like Jake alluded to last time he was on, it was like everybody was fine with AD leaving up until the way that was handled.
100%.
We knew it. So it's just it's the same thing. It's a double-edged sword here. If you accept us, we accept you.
Right.
And if you piss on us, we piss back.
Right. And it's just like but like CJ read the room within a day.
Sure.
You know, like he's been so great for this franchise, not only on the court, but off the court as well. And something that this franchise, this team, this city is needed, because I hate when people say it's not a basketball city, because I think it's bullshit. Like when the team's good, people show up. Like what's that? The blender the other night when the Suns came was loud, man. Like everyone's excited for this 3 home game stretch. The Lakers come in on Sunday, and we were talking about it. You know, on the last podcast, even if they host a play-in game, the city's going to be buzzing. It's going to be like, you know, I don't want to compare it to a Saints playoff game, but the city buzzing.
Don't. The brings you above.
Yeah. But no, I just want to say there's support for this team. And just to see CJ McCollum go on a national stage, be recognized. Shout out CJ, by the way, for retweeting the tweet. Thought that was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
That was fucking awesome. So, Steven, I just wanted to make it a point how important that stuff is too.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, just earlier, if you embrace us, we'll embrace you. That's it. It's easy. It's that simple. It's not a hard thing to grasp down here. I mean, it's the culture. I mean, you look at it. I mean, look at like any situation, like just somebody being nice down here. You know, it's everybody's welcoming.
Right.
That's it. If you're nice, yeah.
So something negative. Let's talk about the game last night. And for the first 2 quarters, it was sloppy, but they were winning. It was one of those, you know, win ugly kind of things. And I thought they took kind of a stranglehold there in the third quarter. We go on our run, they go on their run. We bounce back with another run, and then just, excuse my language, fucking all like just hell broke loose, like for no good reason. It's 2-on-1 situation. Herb Jones, who we've watched now for 72 games, he likes to Euro and he likes to carry it over defenders.
Right.
I don't think Herb Jones has said 15 words this season. He's been teed up 1 time. Do you think he looks like a dirty player? Is he a Marcus Smart? Is he a Pat Bev? If this is those 2 guys, so be it. This is a rookie who's got mad respect from a bunch of veterans in this league. Does clearly a Euro step, and this is what pissed me off, Steven. Yes, should have been a flagrant one. Absolutely. It was contact to the neck head. They reviewed it. Like if this was like, yep, that dude's ejected, there's going to be no replay, whatever, they literally took their time. They took like 2 minutes to review this, and they changed the call to a flagrant 2, and Willie Green's like, what do you mean it's a flagrant 2? Clearly, Steven, in a Euro with Herb and his length, he likes to Euro and carry it over that defender's head and lay it up.
Well, first of all, Pat Beverly could never pull off such a move, so let's put that down.
Thank you.
No, I don't know. The inconsistency of the officiating lately, I mean, I hate to harp on it. I hate to – whenever you talk about referees, it's not good, you know, so it's frustrating, especially it takes all of the momentum. You take one of our best defenders off the court for the remainder of the game, even though it's a close game. So I hate and especially when they influence a game like that, when it's clearly not what they were calling it or making it out to be. So I don't understand where in that video they saw that they needed to change that to a flagrant 2. I don't understand why.
And like, to your point, it's if this is Anthony Davis, if this is LeBron, just say LeBron.
They're not getting kicked out the game. No, they would never change that to a flagrant 2 if this was. That's what I'm
telling you. It has to be consistent. Even if this was Donovan Mitchell, you know, I'm not disrespecting this guy. He's a great player, but Jason Tatum, those guys are not getting kicked out just because he's Herb Jones. He doesn't say a word. And, you know, he's a rookie. You're going to just kick him out. The one thing is it's reviewed. It's being fucking reviewed. Like,
I mean, what can it have been? Making an example out of somebody? Like, what else could it be? Like, none of it makes sense. I don't understand why.
Like, if you watch Herb, like that is one of his go-to moves. Like that's also
it's not even his go-to move. It is a basketball move.
Right.
It's not like a thing that he does like hard and traveling every you know on his step backs or anything, and he gets away with that. But We can't do an actual basketball move just to bring the ball above your head. I see guys swing elbows all the time, make eye contact, and make someone bleed, and it's a flagrant run, and they get to stay in the game. They're swinging elbows around the rim.
And if this was game like 30, I wouldn't make it a big deal. But like, this is literally in the middle of a playoff race where the Lakers won last night. We needed like that. That is a win, like that no one expected. You're on a back-to-back last day of the road trip, and you hate to say because the refs made this call, you lost the game, but to make that egregious of a call, it's unacceptable. It is.
I hate to say refs lose you a game, but they have definitely influenced the shit out of it. And that's the whole thing. They influenced that just with that one call. Like I said, last play of the game, like we needed Herb out there. We get Jackson Hayes switched on to who was it? Who's the finisher? Why am I blanking on the name here? I'm terrible. No, I think Ball. It was. Did he get? Was it Jackson Hayes? Yeah. So we get a switch of Jose and Jackson switch, and then we get Jackson on the mellow ball for the last play of the game.
Yeah, and
cool. Listen, that's what we wanted.
But like that's what sucked about the whole thing is like I think they had 43 points going at the end of the second quarter. They had 43 points, and then up to Herb Jones getting ejected, they then scored I think 25 in the third, and then like 34 in the fourth. And yeah, when you take our best defender out of the game, like that's what's going to happen, especially when we have a short bench too. So you never want to blame it on a ref, but like as you said, Steven, the consistency of this is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a rough look, especially as of late. I mean, we had a game a couple what was it in Denver a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, that was another game, like with the Jokic stuff. Like that,
yeah.
I feel like it just always happens to us, and I know it's probably not true, but
we feel like it happens to us because we mainly watch us.
Right. Well, it's like also like being a Saints fan, like you all, like, just like,
we're a little bitter being a Saints fan, also, so you feel like we just get constantly getting attacked. But
yeah, absolutely. So once again, shout out Company Burger. Make sure you go check them out. Located at 4600 for Red Street. I'll probably be going there soon. So let's talk about. No,
it is raining its ass off out there right now.
Is it really? Yeah,
it's only 7:15.
Big 3-game home stretch coming up here. So you're gonna have the Bulls Thursday, Spurs Saturday, Lakers Sunday. Pelicans are 1 game back on the tiebreaker against the Lakers. I'm hoping for 2-1. If you go 3-0, it's a major win. If you go 0-3, it's or 1-2, or 1-2 or 0-3, it's you don't deserve. You might not make the play in.
Sure.
It starts with Chicago, who's beatable. And then follows with San Antonio and LA. Here's the thing: I think you're both going to get Brandon Ingram and Larry Nance back for the game on Thursday.
Have we heard much about Larry Nance?
Yeah, he's been progressing. He's
good. Okay,
he's super close. I think he's going to be back Thursday. I'm interested, Steven, right? You don't practice much during these times. So he hasn't really gotten a lot of run with the 12, 13-man roster. And then, with the system, I don't know if Willie knows if he can do things, what he can, what he can't do. So that's going to be interesting to see if Willie goes to him early on or not. And then Brandon comes back. He's everything. You get Brandon and CJ, this team's, even without Zion, the team's dangerous. The way Jose's playing, Jonas Valanciunas, Billy's always great. Najee Marshall, another guy that has really turned it around for the Pelicans.
No, I mean, look at when they first got here. We were beating people at 30 when it was just them two out there, So it's hopefully we do get them both back, and like you said, if we can pull off 2 wins here, that would be lovely. 3 wins, obviously, you play to win the game, so you want to go 3-0.
If you're going to go 2-1, it has to include the Lakers. So
yes,
if you beat the
absolutely.
Lakers,
right. That's the must win. That's obviously the must win of this whole 100%. Stretch.
If you beat the Lakers, you automatically win the tiebreaker. So they play the Lakers once. They play them 2 more times. If Pelicans win on either Sunday or next week, they get the tiebreaker over the Lakers, which I think is going to be huge because I think it's going to be a 1 game or tie difference. So that's going to be interesting. But what sucks for the Pelicans, it's going to be a back-to-back. In San Antonio, who just got their ass kicked, I don't see them taking that game lightly.
No. I mean, Pop got ejected that game. That was hilarious. That little wink on the walk-off was great. God, I love that dude. Oh, my God. It's hard to root against him. But, yeah. Yeah, especially the way that we beat them last time at their place. I mean, they're come out gunning. But who did they do we know who they played before us? Maybe we can get somebody else to give a little smackdown on them and weaken them up a little bit.
Yeah, look at that.
Uh-oh.
Oh, shit.
Uh-oh. We got a tornado warning in the area.
Oh, you know what?
Cover.
Here at Propel Talk, we keep the show.
We keep trucking through.
For you, the fans, we do everything.
What's the post office say? Rain, sleet, or snow? Yeah, we're inside.
Yeah, there's been some pretty rough weather out there. So, yeah, Stephen, the game Sunday is huge. So the Lakers here this week looks like the Sixers tomorrow, which is Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yeah, it's going to be Wednesday.
That's a tough game.
Dude, then they get 3 days off.
God damn it.
That's wild.
They did this on purpose. It's rigged. It's all rigged.
Wait, Wednesday. Yeah. So
3 games off after that?
They're playing Philly tomorrow in LA. Then they get 3 days off and play the Pelicans. Meanwhile, the Pelicans have a back-to-back. Tight.
Perfect setup. Oh my God. God damn it, man. I mean, can we just get just a little bit easy road, not as rocky? God.
Yeah. But, Jake Madison locked on.
There he is.
Coming on, Jake. Yeah, you got an awesome fit right now.
What is this little back? What is this
I
little
upgraded
backlight?
the studio a little bit here. Yeah, we can do some colors and things.
That makes your eyes pop.
That's it. No, yeah, I've seen it. So, Jake, we're just talking about, though. Thanks for joining the show, by the way. We were just talking about the Lakers have 3 days off before they play the Pelicans on Sunday. Meanwhile, the Pelicans are on back-to-back.
Yeah,
just how we drew it up.
Saw that. Yeah, look, let's make it tougher. It's more impressive than when they win that way or something along those lines, I guess. Just like one of those things. The schedule's weird. Like, this stuff happens, unfortunately. I don't know. Every team kind of handles this and deals with things like this. And just these late games, late in the season, are just kind of amplified a little bit. So everything feels like a little bit more.
Yeah, sure. So I watched a show today. It was awesome. But I wanted you to elaborate a little bit more on the Herb Jones call, because I hate harping on it. And me and Steven just talked about this, Jake. Like, we don't ever want to say a referee lost you the game, but it definitely influenced the game. And you were saying it today on your podcast where, I think he gets ejected at 6:30 is what you say. And then we give up 35 in the fourth and a lot. What do you see as the problem with the NBA and officiating right now? Because what's sad about the whole thing is that they reviewed it too and still got it wrong.
Yeah, that was the weird part, right? Like, that's a flagrant one. That is the definition of a flagrant one call. It's really as simple as that. And, you need intent in a flagrant 2, and I don't know what the intent was. And I think this comes down to the refs like not being prepared and not knowing what Herb Jones does. He does that Euro step often, but if you're a ref, you see this rookie second round guy and you've never really paid attention to him before, I guess you don't know that he does that sort of thing. Refs have scouting reports too that they're supposed to be prepared going in, and they just seemed like, oh, he never does this, so he elbowed him in the head, and it was just no. And as you said, right, it changed the complexion of the rest of the game. I don't know if I can say for sure that's what cost him it, but if Herb Jones plays, they probably win. There were other things they could have done to win that game too. Willie Green did not do the best with his subs in the fourth quarter, things like that, certainly. But they probably win the game if Herb Jones plays. I don't really have a problem saying that. And it's funny you asked me kind of like, what should the NBA do? There's a promo we have for our Locked On network that we were running for like advertisers at one point. And there's a quote of me in there. I don't know when I said it. I guess I said it on my show at one point where it's like, the NBA has a referee problem or an officiating problem. And they pulled like that soundbite to put in because I guess I sounded hot takey. But they do. Like, there's been a problem all year. This has been a problem for the past couple of years with the NBA, where just there's no consistency whatsoever. And I think to a degree that's kind of charming, right? Like in baseball, you kind of like that maybe umpires have different strike zones, and so the pitchers need to come in and do that. But who doesn't seem to like that is baseball, hence like the robot umps, right? And the kind of like VAR strike zone and things like that. you don't want people to be talking about refs after a game. It takes away from your product. It actively hurts your product. And we've historically seen some of these refs kind of have big heads, right? They're full of themselves. They almost want to be the star of the show. Joe Crawford, right? Like, this is an example of that. They need to figure something out with that. And they need to have these refs prepped a little bit more on guys, and these guys just need to do their homework a little bit better. And you can't just show up and be like, I'm going to ref an NBA game. It doesn't work like that.
Jake, can you walk me through the NBA? I don't know. Do you know much about the NBA replay, like actual system?
Yeah,
like, who's making the call? Is it the people reviewing the?
It's the league office in Secaucus, New Jersey. So it's not these refs that are there. It's kind of they trigger a review, and
is it like a panel? Is it one person making a decision?
Yeah, like it goes to kind of like a room, right? I think where they look at it, and it's probably a panel, or they probably have one guy working every game that's the impartial person, similar to probably like college, right? It gets sent up to someone and they make the review and then they send it back to college football, I should say. I believe it's like that, right? I don't know what they saw in that whatsoever to call that a flagrant 2. Like, that's the part that I just don't get, is like someone, as you said, right? Like, they reviewed it. It wasn't like a call in the court and they're like, oh man, just things fast in real time. I was, unfortunately, because Bally Sports is terrible, it's pirating the game and watching the Hornets feed of this.
You also crushed them on that
I'm like very fed up with that, to the point where like I don't want to try and be a dick to people like I know and I've worked with at times. Bally Sports sucks. So I'm pirating the game and I'm watching, because of that, the Hornets feed. Like, their broadcasters were shocked by this. Their broadcast booth was like, "Oh wow, that's a 2." Like, well, the guys and they were homerish in that call, right? Like when the homerish guys are like, "Oh, that's a terrible call," like, it's a terrible call.
Yeah, it was bad. But I want to move forward to this week. Have you heard anything about Brandon and Larry Nance returning at all? Or elaborate a little bit. Sorry, elaborate as much.
Yeah, like, I think with Brandon Ingram, they're just being cautious, right? We've seen him this year, particularly with that hip injury early on in the year, that if he's not like 100% healthy, he's not himself. He's a bit of a ghost during games, and he doesn't have the same kind of impact and influence. And teams know that, and they can kind of game plan for it accordingly. Like, if he steps in at like 80%, it's just not the same thing. And I think they don't want to rush him out there until he's 100% and able to be like the Brandon Ingram we know. So if it means he needs to rest a little bit longer, like you kind of roll the dice on that with some potential losses. And with a hamstring, there's always that chance that it could reoccur and turn into something big, right? Like, hamstrings are tricky injuries, let alone in a sport where you're running up and down the court, where you're jumping and using that muscle a lot. So if he goes out there at 85%, 95% and tweaks it, and you lose him for these 2 Laker games coming up, I think that's a bit disastrous. So I think they're just, and again, their medical staff is kind of cautious when it comes to injuries. So I think that's part of why we haven't seen him. He's going to play at some point, I would assume, either on Thursday. And if not Thursday, if they want to play it really cautious, when that game looks a little bit like it's maybe a scheduled loss and you're not as worried about losing that game, hold him out till you get him back for the back-to-back on Friday, on Saturday and Sunday against the Spurs and Lakers, 2 absolute must-wins. That's when I think you'll see him. When it comes to Larry Nance Jr., he's close. He's close. The team's publicly saying he's close too. You've heard Antonio Daniels say it on the broadcast a lot too. Would it surprise me if he plays this weekend? Like, not at all. I don't think he's going to make the impact that some people will. This is a guy who's missed the majority of the season, right? Like, the Pelicans are going to have a ramp-up process. It's not, okay, here's your backup big man and go out and play 25 to 30 minutes per game. He's going to play like 10 to 15 for the first couple of games. And then maybe once you hit the play-in tournament in 10 games or so, is he at 25 minutes or so? He had a setback in his knee that forced him to have that more recent surgery, basically announced on like the day before he was traded here. So the recovery period for that type of injury can be a little bit fraught too. So they're going to bring him along slowly. I'd like to have him. 10 minutes of him is better than some of the guys they've been playing, and I think a really useful thing. So I'll take that. But I'd caution that I wouldn't expect like too much from him in his first 5 games back or so. But he's close. Like, if he plays Friday or Saturday and gives you some quality minutes, like, sign me up. Not Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Sign me up for that.
I mean, like Justin said earlier, it's like even if he does come back, like how impactful would he be within them? He alluded to, you don't practice much, around this time of year. It's just how can Willie help implement him into this rotation and let him learn the system?
Look, he's there in practice, for what he's going to do. It's just come in and grab some boards and play some defense out on the perimeter for a big man, which is what he can do. So, you want him to kind of know the system offensively and know where to cut, but he's a pretty smart player, I feel. And I think he'll be okay with some of that. And at this point, I think he should be up to speed enough to be able to make a positive impact for the team when he's out there on the court.
Yeah, well, listen, Jake, last question before I let you go. Once again, Jake Madison, Locked On Pels, part of the Locked On Network, does a great job, easily one of the best in the business, so make sure you go subscribe to that YouTube channel as well. So with you mentioned Brandon Ingram saying maybe Saturday, Sunday, and then you had mentioned something about the hamstring and, it could be cautious. Do you think that he will play back-to-back? Like, are you worried about possibly splitting that?
No, I thought that at one point, right? But if we go by the logic that they're not going to play him until he's fully healthy, then he should be able to play a back-to-back, right? If they hold him out of that Lakers game or they play him in only one of those, when it's like, if he plays in the Spurs game, doesn't play in the Laker game, then he's not 100% healthy. And then, it kind of it gives us a little bit more insight into what they're doing. But, I think it's one of those things, right? Like he should get his full allotment of minutes, assuming he's conditioned well enough. And, who knows on that. But I think he should end up playing and kind of be fine. I think, it's one of those things like if it were win or you're out, on Thursday, like he could probably play. Like I feel like he could probably play at that. They just don't need to yet. I think when you look at them in their schedule, like winning against Charlotte would have been nice, right? Winning against the Bulls would be nice, but those aren't the key games here. If you beat the Spurs, you essentially knock them out of contention, I feel like, for the 10th spot. So that's at least yours, given that you could split your games the rest of the way. That's good. That's a good spot to be in, right? If you beat the Lakers twice, you probably jump to 9th. The other games don't matter as much. You don't want to lose all of them, certainly, but given that the schedule kind of breaks their way and is a little bit easier, they shouldn't. And I think getting that game against the Hawks was a little bit of lagniappe, which means you can afford to drop another one later down the line. So I think they're still going to be in good position, even if they don't have him, as long as you win the games that you've got to win. And they have must-win games coming up. But Portland's shutting it down now, right? You saw Josh Hart is all of a sudden not playing after he's been looking tremendous. He wasn't listed on the injury report. Now he's got a knee injury that's going to keep him out for something like 10 days, right? Like, as long as you beat the Spurs in these other games, in the Lakers, they should be okay, I think.
Jake, I know I said last question. This is really the last question. Is there any chance the Pelicans sign Josh Hart in the offseason? Is there any chance of a reunion? Or like I see a lot of people chattering it, right? I see a lot of people tweeting it.
I've seen that so much, and I think that's wishful thinking, right? Like, so part of it is his contract's kind of weird. His contract's super weird in we've almost never seen anything like this. And I can't remember it off the top of my head. I think there's a team option on it, right? Like, I think that's what everyone's forgetting is there's kind of like a mutual option where if the team doesn't pick it up, he could pick it up. Now, if the team doesn't pick it up, he's not going to re-sign for like the $10 million. But if you're Portland and you have a chance to keep him next year for $10 million, like you're very dumb if you are not picking up that option. And then it's the year after next where he can kind of exercise an option and get to free agency quicker. So like he's on Portland next year unless they trade him. But the way he's played, like he's going to be someone who's going to require.
Literally, like the last thing he was going to say in Jake Madison's internet.
He looks good. I mean, it's really a good shot.
I showed a screenshot that sent it to Jake. Listen, Jake's not going to get to say goodbye, but once again, Jake Madison, thank you so much for joining us. If you don't know him, he does a great job of the Locked On Network with Locked On Pelicans. So, Steven, before we get out of here, I just got to get what's your prediction for this week?
That's tough to say, man. I think we win on Thursday. I mean, just because it's like Jake was saying, every game is we should win or must win, but these two over the weekend are the biggest ones. And
I'm sorry, I got
man, he's still there.
He just texted me, and that's my power going out.
Oh, that's what happened.
Yeah,
shit, that sucks. That sucks for him there. Man, I'm just gonna wishfully hope for 2-1 here. If we can get 2-1, that'd be great. And I honestly, like you said, if that Sunday game against the Lakers is the one that we have to win. You have to win that one. So
no, 100%. You're right. 2-1 is I'm happy with. I'm content with. Can we go 3-0? Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
If we're going 2-1, I'd rather screw Chicago and let's go get Saturday, Sunday. So
exactly.
Once again, shout out to Company Burger located at 4600 for Red Street. Make sure you check them out. Once again, this podcast was sponsored by Royal Honda. Make sure you go check them out at royalhonda.com. Stephen Arthur, Justin Napoli. Also, Stephen, we're going to get to meet a bunch of fans this weekend on Saturday.
That's what I hear.
Before the Spurs game, the Pelicans are doing this awesome thing where they bring all the podcasters, all the bloggers together. We're going to have a happy hour. And then I think Joel and Antonio Daniels are going to do like a panel discussion. It's going to be really awesome. So make sure you get out there, get to meet all of us.
Do we get to ask questions to Joel?
I think we get to ask questions to Joel.
Okay.
Very excited. So
we'll bring a notepad full of questions.
Right.
My power just flashed. All
right, guys. Y'all take it easy. Go Pels. Going 3-0. Steven, take care, brother.
Go, kisses.
Later.